just wanted to talk about what's been going on this week on not on social media about an interview you had this week, but I want to set the context for that interview. I'm just going to play a clip. It's a very short clip.
Kier Starmer, this is for Gaza. You have paid and you will pay a high price. Kier Starmer and Rishi Sunak are two cheeks of the same backside, and they both got well and truly spanked tonight here in Rochdale.
It's beyond alarming that last night the Rochdale by-election returned a candidate who dismisses the horror of what happened on October the 7th, who glorifies Hezbollah and is endorsed by Nick Griffin, the racist former leader of the BNP. I need to speak to you all this evening because this situation has gone on long enough and demands a response not just from government, but from all of us.
Now, within 24 hours of you winning that election, Rishi Sunak's out on the steps of number 10. That really frightened the establishment. That victory that you had in Rochdale was just an incredible result, and they couldn't handle it, could they?
And that's exactly why, or how rather, we are so filled with optimism this weekend, where hundreds of thousands of people have voted for anti-war candidates up and down the country, robbing Starmer of anything like an actual overall majority in the House of Commons. The current predictions are that he'll fall 32 seats short of an overall majority. That means he'll be in a hung parliament. That means he'll be looking for people to support him as a minority prime minister. And the writing was put up there on the wall in Rochdale on the 29th of February. That's why they're scared, because they know there are plenty of people like me. They know that there are potentially millions of people who'll vote for people like me and will upset the apple cart, bust the two-party, uni-party, two cheeks of the same backside politics that we have in Britain. Now it's coming to fruition. Bring on the general election, I say, when all over the country, people with views like mine will be contesting against the uni party and giving them a very good spanking.
Right. The other thing about this is the Rochdale election. I mean, before that election, some of the people on the left were not supporting you, which you would have thought they would, because, you know, this was a big election and the issue of Gaza was at the middle of it. And there's so many people who are not being represented in Parliament on that issue. You know, you would have thought they'd have all rallied behind you. But I mean, this is Novara Media on the week before the election. It says, "Who cares about Rochdale? Not politicians, that's for sure." And that's what the article reads like, exactly as the headline. So,
yeah, actually, I blocked Novara Media immediately after that article appeared, within minutes, as soon as I'd read it. And I blocked Aaron Bastani. Of all the articles written in the run-up to the great Rochdale by-election victory, that was the most vicious, the most nasty, the lousiest, and more fool me for giving them a second chance of an interview. These people are fake leftists. They're in fact liberals. The Novara Media, Owen Jones type school, well, they're welcome to whatever acolytes they have. They deserve each other. But we're fishing in an entirely different part of the river. We are seeking the support of working class people all over the country, including the north, which would cause a nosebleed for some of these people if they traveled north of Watford.
Now, yes, I mean, that does kind of have to ask you after I play this. I'm just going to play the clip that's been going around the internet. I think it's been viewed a million or more times. Now, this is with Novara Media. This is an edit of an interview, a full interview, apparently 2 hours long, with Aaron Bastani. I'm just going to play the clip that's been going around and ask you to comment on it after.
So what specifically do you not like that's taught to children in schools?
Well, I don't want my children prematurely sexualized at all. I don't want them taught that some things are normal when their parents don't believe that they're normal. Now, there's lots of things not normal. Doesn't mean you have to hate something that isn't normal. But if my children are taught that there's whatever the current Vogue number is, 76 or 97 or whatever the number of purported genders that exist, I don't want my children taught that.
But are they taught that?
Some of them are, yeah.
Are they? Because there's a huge gap here between saying, I think kids should be going to school and taught that, not all relationships look like a heteronormative couple, male, female. There's a huge gap between saying they should know that there's lots of LGBT people in the world is very diverse, that's what it looks like, and you're saying 96 genders. There's a big gap in between, isn't there?
Well, no, 3 of my children go to school, a Catholic school in Scotland, so they have some protections for the moment, although the SNP government's threatening to remove some of those protections. But my other 2 school children are taught in England things that I don't want them to be taught, and at an age I don't want to be taught. That relations, that gay relationships are exactly the same and as normal as a mum, a dad, and kids. I want my children to be taught that the normal thing in Britain, in society across the world, is a mother, a father, and a family. I want them to be taught that there are gay people in the world and that they must be treated with respect and affection as I treat my own gay friends and colleagues with respect and affection. But I don't want my children to be taught that these things are equal, because I don't believe them to be equal. Apart from anything else, the human race would no longer exist. If it was normal, then it would be the end of humanity over a couple of generations. First of all, pulling things out of a 2-hour interview without context, without all the other things that I said about these matters, is inherently misleading. It was part of a misleading deal altogether. I had an assurance that this article, this interview rather, will be going out on Sunday rather than the night before the local government elections. They broke their promise on that. And that dishonesty in itself indicates the kind of dishonest agenda that lay behind the release of that partial snippet. Now, we can discuss my views if you like. Not sure if your viewers would be all that interested on mum, dad, and the kids, and the, as Aaron Bastani puts it, heteronormative. It's a bit like the words, the prefix cis, isn't it? Someone's a cis woman. A couple are a heteronormative couple. These are all affectations of the chatterati in their North London dinner parties. They call it heteronormative, I call it normal. They call them cis women, I call them women. It's partly an issue of age and class and geography, perhaps. But it's a dishonest snippet of a very long interview. I'm not sure anyone will sit through 2 hours of me. Certainly not even my own family will do that. But they should have kept their promise. and anyone dealing with them in future should know that they break their promises and they will snip what they think will prove to be clickbait, and so it turned out to be, for their own selfish purposes. They're not interested in Gaza. They're not interested in the success or otherwise of people fighting elections the next day on Gaza. To hell with that. Let's snip some of what Galloway said and put it out, whatever the consequences in the elections tomorrow, even if we've promised them that it won't be going out until Sunday.
I mean, the thing is, people are calling it, they're actually calling it homophobic.
Can I
sort
deal
of
with that? Can I deal with that?
Labeling you and stuff as all this, and it's sort of generated its own heat. It's interesting as well. I mean, this is from the same. This is the same day as the clip came out, which is before the election day. Aaron Bastani's written, I would have voted for George Galloway, but then he said gay people aren't normal, and there you can see how he's used the word normal to kind of push people into.
Again, that is completely dishonest. I have never said that gay people are not normal. I said that the family relationships that exist in Britain and overwhelmingly around the world are typically mum, dad, and the kids. Normal means typical in this context. And it happens to be a family model that I commend as the father of 6 children. But people are entitled to sleep with whomsoever they like. Please believe me, I have zero interest in other people's sex lives. I was speaking as a father with 5 children in the school system. And I was speaking for many other fathers and mothers, millions of them in the country, who are concerned about what's being taught to their children against their will, against their values, against their ethos, whether religious or secular, and without them having any say in it. They're our children. They're not the state's children. They're not the teacher's children. They are our children. And at this moment in time, we have virtually no influence, certainly no power over what our children are taught. And trust me, there are millions of parents in Britain who feel exactly the same way as I do.
I feel quite strongly about this is the fact that people can be brought down for a quote or a couple of sentences. I mean, there's a quote from someone, Cardinal Richelieu, which says, "If you give me 6 lines written by the most honest of men, I will find something in them which will hang him." So this is something that seems to be going on all the time in politics, and especially what we say about the left. This is something that we should be learning from with what's happened since Jeremy Corbyn was the leader of the Labour Party. I'm just going to play a clip that illustrates this.
You know, the party that's done more to stand up to racism is now being demonised as a racist, bigoted party. We've backed off far too much. We've given too much ground. We've been too apologetic.
Margaret Hodge, one of many who wrote in protest, demanding he be suspended.
Just imagine if he'd said that about the Labour Party's gone too far in fighting racism against black and ethnic minority people or against disabled people or gay people. That would have been intolerable.
Soon, Tom Watson, the deputy leader, was also demanding action. "I formally request that Chris Williamson has the Labour whip removed from him," he wrote, and/or is suspended from the Labour Party.
Let's remember, when Hitler won his election in 1932, his policy then was that Jews should be moved to Israel. He was supporting Zionism. His boy went mad and ended up killing 6 million Jews. But the simple fact in all of this is that Naz made these comments at a time when there's another brutal Israeli attack on the Palestinians.
Things exploded this lunchtime when MP John Mann turned up to the Westminster TV studios at the same time as the former mayor.
Why don't you go and check a Nazi apologist? A Nazi apologist. A Nazi apologist. You're a disgusting Nazi apologist, Livingston. And you dare say that Hitler supported Zionism. You've lost it, mate. You need help. You need help. You need help. What did Mein Kampf say about Zionism?
Hitler's a mad anti-Zionist. He wanted to kill all Jews. But his policy in 1932, when he won that election, was to deport Germany's Jews to Israel. And the Zionist movement had secret meetings with this administration.
Just minutes after Livingston's row with John Mann, Labour's current London mayoral contender Sadiq Khan condemned him outright.
These comments are appalling and they're disgusting. What needs to happen clearly is action taken.
What sort of action?
Well, I think, there should be no place in the Labour Party for anybody with these views.
So he should be expelled?
The due process needs to follow, but I think it's quite clear that there are too many examples in our party of people with anti-Semitic views where action isn't taken quickly enough.
The left-wing fixer John Landsman tweeted that a period of silence from Livingston was overdue. It's time he quit politics altogether, he wrote.
MPs have said you should resign now.
They need to check whether what I've said is historically true.
Right. Minutes later, Labour suspended Ken Livingston from party membership and its national executive.
Ken Livingston's still suspended and hasn't been expelled. Should he be?
He's suspended.
Yeah, should he be expelled?
Personally, I don't think he should be in the party.
Right.
But that decision's not down to me.
No, I was just asking your opinion.
That's my personal opinion.
2 years ago, just as Jeremy Corbyn was promising to tackle anti-Semitism, one man here was about to be accused of it.
I saw that the Telegraph handed a copy of a press release to Ruth Smith MP, so you can see who's working hand in hand. I'm pleased.
She is a Jewish MP who didn't like being linked to a conspiracy. And today he was expelled from the party, even if he denies he was the one bringing it into disrepute.
The leader has told mutual friends he wasn't embarrassed because he doesn't see that I did anything wrong. When they called me on the first day of the hearing, they said to me that they'd been working behind the scenes, that what I said wasn't anti-Semitic.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Jewish leaders and party members are hoping their protests have been heard, and today's expulsion is the first of many.
We need actions, not just words. Enough, quite frankly, is enough, and that means expediting the outstanding cases that have, quite frankly, been around for far too long, starting with Ken Livingston.
At 10:36, Jeremy Corbyn released a statement in which he said the scale of Labour's anti-Semitism problem had been dramatically overstated for political reasons. Half an hour later, Kier Starmer held a press conference.
There are still those who think there's no problem with anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, that it's all exaggerated or a factional attack. Then frankly, you are part of the problem too. And you should be nowhere near the Labour Party either.
Then at 1 p.m, an interview with Jeremy Corbyn aired in which he repeatedly disputed many of the report's findings.
The numbers have been exaggerated, in my view. I don't accept that we were harassing people. No, I did not politically interfere. I was asked for
Just 6 minutes later, he had been suspended.
I made it clear that we won't tolerate anti-Semitism or the denial of anti-Semitism through the suggestion that it's exaggerated or factional. And that's why I was disappointed with Jeremy Corbyn's response. And that is why appropriate action has been taken, which I fully support.
Watching those clips, the Ken Livingston one in particular, find it heartbreaking to see what's happened to him since that incident. He's been destroyed as a man, and they've destroyed all those other people as well, who have had so much experience of politics and wisdom to bring for the left. And many on the left, as you see in that clip, totally ignored their situation and ducked the issue. I'm not prepared to see you being pushed out in any way, for considering not only that you didn't say anything wrong, but secondly, the fact that you've done so much for so many people over so many years, for a few sentences, for people to say, "Oh, we shouldn't platform George Galloway," it's a crazy, and I'm sickened by it.
Well, that's very kind of you, and I'm touched by it. But please be reassured that these people don't have the ability to cancel me. I have an audience of millions. I have a powerful and growing party. We're winning elections like nobody else, no other party on the socialist part of the political spectrum has ever won elections like we have won them. And that will not be taken away by Aaron Bastani or Ash Sarkar. And it's clear from that series of, as you say, quite moving clips that this Novara Media, Owen Jones, clique have been central to all of these attempted political assassinations, in some cases successful assassinations. They are always right on it. Yes, Livingston, get him out. Corbyn, yes, he was asked, wasn't he, Bastani, by Andrew Neil about the epidemic of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, and he immediately agreed that there was such an epidemic. I remember watching that at the time, rather than argue that this was not so, that it was being deliberately weaponized to protect Israel and its interests. He went on with it. So people are a part of the political class, which is in such low order and is in such opprobrium in the country today. And indeed across the world, this is a tendency, if you like, a current in politics of small L liberals posing as leftists, posing as socialists, when in fact, what they really are is identity politicians. They elevate the latest fad, the latest thing out of California becomes their thing. And the working class is supposed to roll over and accept it. Well, they don't. And I don't. As a leading figure in that part of the political spectrum, I reject their fads, their latest wheezes. And I think most people do also. Anyway, they did their best. It didn't work. We did fantastically well in the elections. And in the general election, we'll have the last laugh, I'm sure of that.